How you doing, guys? Today we're gonna be working on chapter 9, exercise 1. In this tutorial, we're gonna use a lot of blending, a lot of rotating blend, and the most problematic issue with this exercise, or the challenging part, is getting these two features to work. Once you get these two to work, everything else just falls into place. Um, so the first thing that we're going to do. First step is going to be doing this step. After we draw uh, this rotating blend, we're going to either draw this one or this other feature. And once we get these two situated, we're going to draw this part. And after we draw that part, we can later add in the whole features. Okay? So let's get started. Clear all. And let's get back to the feature. So let's get started. Okay, here you can see that I finished with the drawing, so we're gonna start with a new file. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna draw, like I said, was this bottom feature. Okay, so we can see that it's actually a rectangle that's being swept. So we're gonna draw a rectangle that is 15 in width, and in length is gonna be 75. Okay, click on the bottom sketch. Right, what we're gonna do, doesn't really matter where you draw the rectangle, but it's always important to keep everything in perspective. So we're gonna put a center line here. Again, please do not click on this center line, but click on the center line which is on the datum selection. That matters because that datum line is going to be used, that center line is going to be used for as a reference. Okay, so after we do that, let's create another center line here. We're going to go to rectangle, center rectangle. Doesn't really matter, but center rectangle really helps with the midline. So we said that the rectangle is going to be 15, right? And it's going to be 75. Okay. Now we're going to go to dimensions, and we're going to click on this center line and the center of this rectangle, and that should be 50. Okay, that 50 came to be about here. Okay, so that 50 is, if you notice, that 50 came from the radius of that arc. Okay, so we draw rectangle 15, 75, and from the center, a radius of 50. Okay, once we get that done, we're going to click on OK. Let's maximize this. Once we do that, we're going to click on Shapes, Rotational Blend. Okay, so once we click that, when I click on Rotational Blend, sketch 1 was already selected. I'm going to go to Sections. We're going to click on, so the sketch is already clicked, we're going to click Internal Sketches, right, for axis of revolution, and we're going to click on this axis right here. Okay, and we're going to click Insert. Now, if you notice in this picture, if you look at this as a circle, that's a quadrant of a circle. So it's going to be 90 degrees. 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, makes 360, right? So we're going to do 90 degrees to make a fully, oh, sorry about that, to make a full arc. Okay, so we're going to click 90 degrees from section 1. Okay, and we're gonna click another sketch. At that point, we're gonna click on sketch view. We're gonna draw another rectangle. Okay. And this rectangle is going to be again 15, right? But the width is going to be 35. Okay. Now please keep in mind that it is important, you see this is your reference or starting point, right? It is important that you make this your starting point. For now, I'm just gonna click OK for you to see what may happen if you don't manipulate the starting point. So you see what happened? So you may see that the starting point is different. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go back to sketch section. Section 2 is selected. We're gonna click sketch view. As you notice, if this is your starting point, then this, when it rotates, has to be also starting point, right? So we're gonna left click it to select the point, right hold click, and click start point. Okay. Once we accept it, it works out. Okay. So that's the first part we just did. Okay. We click OK. The second part we're gonna draw is this little extrusion right here. Okay, another feature, which is simply a rectangle that is 15 by 50. Okay. So we're gonna click on sketch, click the face, make sure that the arrow is looking as such, and click sketch view. You can draw your rectangle like this, but to have a proper orientation, make it easier for us, I clicked on sketch setup and manipulated my view. Okay. So what we're gonna do now, I don't want to put this center line because I don't want it to continuously come out on the sketch. I just want to see the center line on this specific sketch, not on the whole model. So I chose the center line. The purpose for that was, so when I draw a rectangle, it could be equally. Okay. If this happens to you, just go on and delete the rectangle. Sorry guys, give me a couple of seconds. So okay, we're gonna put a center line. The reason I put the center line, so don't draw completely. Don't draw completely. Just make sure that for some reason it doesn't want to work. I believe the center line. So put the center line, your rectangle, so it can lock into place. So this constraint is not put in place. Okay. So now this rectangle has to be 50. Okay. Still 15 by 50. Okay. We're gonna accept that. Click on standard orientation to see what is going on. We're gonna click extrude, and we're gonna extrude this rectangle by 45 as such. Okay. Once we get that done, let's place the round feature. So now we're gonna click on round. We're gonna click on that corner, that edge. We're gonna click on that edge, rotate, click and hold Control, and click left click. Okay. And that radius, if you look closely, is a radius of 5. Okay. And we're gonna accept that. Okay. We're going to click on round feature again. Select that edge. Rotate. Select that edge. Rotate. Select that edge. Okay, and rotate, hold control, and select that edge. And all of those edges are also going to be 5. And there we have our first two portions. The next portion I'm going to draw is the bottom base. Okay, so what I'm going to do is going to rotate it, right? Click on sketch and click on this face. Make sure the arrow is looking up. Okay, sketch view, hold shift, middle button to move your feature. Let's click on rectangle. Right, make sure your rectangle locks in and draw it pretty long. You can later manipulate it. This rectangle should be 100. Okay, and we are gonna accept that. Standard orientation, and we're gonna extrude that feature by 20. Okay. One little mistake that I forgot to mention. This. Sorry. So we're gonna go edit definition and this feature. Okay. We're gonna go like sections. Probably I did it, but let's make sure. And we're gonna go on the second section. We're gonna click on sketch and sketch view. The problem here that I did is I forgot. I just remember dimensions. This center line from the center of this box has to be 50 as well. Why 50? Because the box that's being, the first section is 50 away from the center line. This also has to be 50 from the center line. That was something that I remembered as I was working on the model. Sorry about that. Okay, so make sure you do fix that. That does matter. Okay, the overall, it doesn't look different, but what happens is that the center from this rectangle to this center line here, right, is 50. And the center line also from this rectangle has to be 50, so it could be a uniform rotation. Okay? Again, sorry about that. At least I noticed it pretty soon. And that's it. Everything stays the same, as you don't see it, but later on it really will matter. So we fix that issue, we draw this feature, and we draw this feature. Okay? The last part, so we draw this, step 1, step 2, step 3. Now we're gonna draw this feature. Okay? And I'll show you how to do it. So we're gonna click on sketch, and we're gonna click on the middle plane. Make sure that the arrow is looking inwards. Click on sketch, sketch view. Okay? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna click on references. I'm gonna click on this surface. I'm gonna click on this surface. Okay? The first thing that I would do, I'm gonna click on point. Put this point here. And we're gonna put a point here. Okay? We're gonna click on dimension. From this point to this point should be 165. The 165 came from this dimension. So from this point, starting point, end point. Okay? Now we're gonna click on line. All of these are for reference. So when you start drawing your shapes, everything has a reference, and then later you could delete segments. So from this reference point that I clicked on, I'm gonna make a parallel line. Make it pretty long. Doesn't really matter. Okay? What really matters is that this line from the bottom from this edge has to be 90. It has to be 90. Why it has to be 90? Because it says that the top to the bottom has to be 90. And you will see how is it that that matters. How is that going to be incorporated within this drawing? So as we draw, we drew our point and our line. What we're going to do now is as follows. Okay, we're going to draw a circle. The circle, we're going to give it, we're going to click on the object and we're going to turn it from dimensions to radius. We're going to give it a radius of 60. Okay, so we're going to click on tangent the constraints, make the circle tangent to this line. Actually, bring, if that occurs, bring the circle down. Okay, so we're going to click tangent this circle to this line. Okay, once that occurs, we're going to click on coincide this circle to this point, and there we go. Once that occurs, do not go on and start deleting. We're going to click on line. From this point here, we're going to make this line tangent. Okay, now what we're going to do now, now we're going to do is delete segments. Delete this segment, delete this segment, delete this segment. Zoom in really close. Please watch this line right here. The reason why this line stood there was because of this reference line that I placed. You could have later earlier delete the reference and resolve that issue, but just for here, we just go on ahead and delete it. Okay, we go on ahead and delete this segment and delete this segment. And there we have our feature. You might be thinking, are we going to use a blend tool? Not at all. What we're going to do now is going to go here, profile rib, and we're going to select this object that we just drew, right? And if you look closely, that profile rib has a thickness of 10. So I'm going to write 10. So now the most hard part of it all has been done. Now what we're gonna do now is we're gonna draw the whole feature, holes. So we're gonna click on sketch. You're gonna click on this top surface, sketch view. You're gonna place a center line here. Okay. We're gonna place a center line there. We're gonna make a circle here. Another circle here, equal. Put the metric. Zoom in here. I just click on the symmetric constraints. There's both centers symmetric to this center line. The diameter for these circles are 7, and the dimensions between these two circles are 30. Okay. I'm going to draw another circle, and the dimensions between these two circles must be 25. Okay, and the center from this circle, from this edge, has to be 10. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to click on this circle, and we're going to click escape, click on this circle, click on mirror, center line, and there we have our other circle. And if I'm not mistaken, very simply, let's see if this is possible. You could click on this edge, right? Click on that edge, click on this edge, click on this edge, click on this edge. Okay, sketch view. The reason why I did that is that in one shot, in one feature, you could draw all these holes instead of clicking in this face and then clicking in this face and create another sketch. So what I'm going to do now is create another circle here. Right. The reason why I did it extremely big is for it to not to lock in constraints. This circle has a diameter of 10. Okay. We're going to draw another circle. Give me a second. I might have done it not well. So okay, we're going to draw a circle that is exactly equal size on the circle to this left. I'm going to click dimensions. Distance between these two circles has to be 50. Okay. The distance between the circle and this edge has to be 10. And the distance from this circle from this edge has to be 25. Okay. We created these constraints. So now what we're going to do is we're going to select both of these circles by clicking on one circle, hold Control, click on the other circle. Click Escape, click on this circle, hold Control, click on this other circle, click on Mirror, click on this edge, and there we have this other circle. Okay, and we're going to accept. We're going to accept this extrusion. Let's make sure everything is correct. Let's make sure that both of these circles are 50 apart. 55, I mean. Yes, they are 55. So we're going to accept. We're going to extrude. What we're going to do, we're going to flip it all the way through. Cut all the way through and click Cut Feature. And there we go. And as you may see, we have not finished yet. Almost forgot these two round features. So we're going to click on round, click on this edge, hold Control, click on this edge, and the round size radius is 10. Okay. And we have officially finished our exercise number 1. Hopefully this video has helped you. Please leave a like and a subscribe. The purpose of this exercise was to show you how to manipulate the rotational blend, and how to incorporate that with using holes, using also the profile rib, how to incorporate all of these techniques into one exercise. Hopefully this exercise and this tutorial has helped you better build a better foundation on your understanding on CREO 4. God bless you. Have a nice night.